Good morning. We're about to put rice in buckets. So just a quick little overview. If you store rice in a 5-gallon bucket, you need to, with the proper techniques, it'll last 20-25 years, depends who you believe. Without getting buggy, it'll still be edible, taste fine after that. But you need to do it right. One bucket, generic 5-gallon bucket, will hold about 30 pounds of grain. Doesn't really matter what kind of grain, rice, wheat, corn, any kind of beans. I know beans technically are a fruit, not a grain, but black beans, pinto beans, split peas, navy beans, red beans, whatever. You can get about 30 pounds of those. You basically, in order to feed an adult human for a year, you basically need 750 pounds of grain, not counting vitamin requirements, other stuff. So, now that we have that out of the way, let's go with what equipment you need in order to actually put grain in buckets. First, you need buckets. Now, Bear Independent made a suggestion I saw a while ago. He basically color codes his buckets. So when you see a white bucket, you know it's full of rice. When you see a blue bucket, you know it's full of beans. If you want to do corn and other stuff, get other colors. Frankly, I don't have a grinder for corn or other grains, so I'm just doing beans and rice lately. You don't actually need food grade buckets because the food never actually will touch the bucket if you do this right. You're going to put the food in Mylar bags and then put the Mylar bags in the bucket. You can go on uline.com and order buckets by the pallet. If you're a regular person like me and you don't need 500 buckets at a time, you can also just go to your local hardware store and buy buckets. And if you want to color code them, Home Depot has orange buckets. Down here they also have gray buckets with Texas flags on them, but that may not be true in your area. And they also charge extra for those. They're cool though, because they have Texas flags. Lowe's has these nice blue buckets. Yes, I'm sitting on the floor while I record this. So most of my beans are in Lowe's buckets. Tractor Supply Company has white buckets. And there's some paint place, I can't remember the name of, does gray buckets. And Tractor Supply goes out of lids, so I've got gray lids for my buckets. Next thing you need is Mylar bags. And since I recommend buying these at the same time, you also need oxygen absorbers. Now, what I have found as the best place to get oxygen absorbers is this place called PackFresh USA. They sell on Amazon, so you can go the Amazon route, get your Prime shipping and whatever else, or you can order direct from them. It's the same price either way. They ship nice and fast, so there's no good reason not to order direct from them. And the first time I ordered, they inserted this nice little business card in my order for 10% off on my second order. I strongly suspect this code still works, so give it a try. Now, PackFresh USA sells a kit, or I can't remember what they call it. I'll throw a link in. But basically, they sell a kit that includes the Mylar bags and the oxygen absorbers both. What I found is the 24-pack of that combination was the best deal, especially with the 10% promo code ordering direct from them instead of Amazon. Even if you have a 5% back Amazon points credit card, it still makes sense to order direct from PackFresh USA. And that 24-pack is the best price point, and that'll let you put aside 720 pounds of grain. You also need a hair straightener. Now, PackFresh USA sells their own special bag sealer thing. Basically, you need something that generates heat. They'll make more sense later. to seal the bags. Now, if your spouse, daughter, somebody who lives in your family has curly hair that they straighten, you can just go borrow their hair straightener. Don't get caught though. If your spouse has incredibly straight hair like mine does, you go to Walmart and buy your very own Revlon brand fancy hair straightener. Whatever, it was $10. So, a note on what kind of rice you want. Traditional white rice that you buy in the US tends to have a significantly higher percentage or higher amount of arsenic in the rice. For the average American who eats rice one day a week, it's at most one meal a week. It's not a big deal, and that's the reason it's got higher arsenic values is because the fertilizers that they use, not on the rice, or not fertilizer, pesticides. It's not used on the rice, but in the vicinity of where they grow the rice in like Louisiana and Georgia, mostly Georgia, I think. Just leaves the arsenic in the water. The rice picks it up because rice is a very water-intense crop, and you have lots of arsenic in your rice. Alternatively, you can go to your local Asian supply store. That's heavier than it looks. Well, not really, it's 25 pounds. But anyways, you can go to your local Asian supply store and get some imported rice. Most of the rest of the world has far less arsenic in the rice because places like Asia, they frankly eat a lot of rice. And yes, most of the arsenic will come out when you wash the rice, rinse the rice. You'll get out about 90% of it. But if you start with foreign rice, you got a third as much arsenic to begin with, and then you get rid of 90% of that, as opposed to the U.S. rice, which has 3 times as much arsenic, and then you get rid of 3 times as much. You still have 3 times as much in the end result product. Also, jasmine rice is really good. Specifically, the Three Ladies brand, I'd highly recommend. Comes from Thailand. They do annual crops, so check. This is worth going to an Asian grocery store. It's really good rice. And as I just discovered, there are no good camera angles for what I'm doing in this room, so you're just gonna have to fumble through as I do this with my bag of rice sitting on top of, or bucket of rice sitting on top of a chair. Now, I forgot to mention, with your rice choices, avoid brown rice. The husks on the brown rice, which they remove to make white rice, tend to have higher fat content, and that will go rancid much, much faster. So stick to white rice. Also, I find the jasmine rice kind of clumps a little bit. Tastes amazing, but clumps. So what I do is I've got 25 pounds of jasmine rice from Thailand, and I actually mix that with 5 pounds of generic. I'm doing two of these. One's getting 5 pounds of HEB rice, one's getting 5 pounds of Walmart rice, whatever, it's white rice. And I mix that in with the jasmine rice, and it just tends to clump less when I cook it. Okay, so time to watch Fat Guy try to wrestle with 25-pound bag of rice without spilling it all over the floor. On the chair. That's a bunch of the jasmine rice. Pop this one open. It's not that precise. The jasmine rice gets sold in 25-pound bags, so adding 5 pounds of white rice also makes it come out to 30 pounds, and it's a nice even number. Okay, about half of that in. Have not spilled rice on the floor yet. I'm kind of proud of myself. Okay. I'm an engineer. These last 2 grains of rice bother me. I will get them. I don't think I got the last 2, but whatever. And I'm just going to throw this on top. Just mixing it around a little. I suppose like the bottom half of this bag is pure jasmine rice. If I actually need it, we'll deal with it when it comes out. Shake the bag a little. Cool. Now to do that all over again for the other bucket. And I fully realize there's some way you can cut these strips and then it'll just peel right off. I have like the thread. I have no idea what that way is, and I'm tired of fumbling with my knife and feeling stupid not doing it that way, so I just cut the bag. Also, I have no idea where I put my great value rice. Hopefully it shows up. Okay, with Mylar, yay. Getting dizzy bending over. That's kind of weird. Anyways. If you try to avoid dumping rice on the floor. Now I'm going to go pause the video and figure out where I put that bag of rice. Oh, there it is. Never mind, don't have to pause it. Hey, Walmart rice. If anyone's interested, this is 50 servings per bag. This is a 5-pound bag at 160 calories per serving. Somebody else can do the math on how many calories that is. I did it once. I don't have it in front of me, nor do I care. Bunch of that in. Mix it around a little bit. Hopefully that doesn't clump as bad. Still have not spilled rice on the floor. This actually smells really good. And again, I really like rice. Whoops. Yay, it didn't spill. Sweet. Okay, let's stop there. Now, I'm not sure current costs on everything. When I started doing this, I calculated it to be about $40 per bucket, including all of the oxygen absorbers, the buckets, the lids, the food. Now, since I did that calculation, the cost of a bag of that rice has jumped from $29, $28, something like that, depending on which grocery store I get it from, to $39. So I'm guessing my cost on a full bucket is now close to $50. Deal with the trash later.
if you want to know the 25-pound bags of rice, they say they are 228 servings. Serving is a quarter cup, and there's 180 calories per serving. So higher calorie than the cheap rice, but who knows? And once again, somebody else do the math, or maybe I will and put it in an overlay. I don't know. Then we start sealing it up. Shoot. And I just got a grain of rice on the floor. I see another one there.
And welcome to the other side of the room. There's my buckets, power outlet, and yes, I'm doing this right next to a trash can. And there's a lot of trash sitting next to the trash can because I'm getting ready to move. I'm kind of purging things, so actually my wife's doing most of the purging, so we don't end up as hoarders like my mother. So, back to the rice. When you get your PakFresh USA kit, you want the individually packaged oxygen absorbers. You need one of these oxygen absorbers per bag of rice, or beans, or whatever you're doing. And the oxygen absorbers should be like easily bendy. If they're stiff, there's something went wrong and they got oxygen in them. Don't use them. So, let's get this party started. Suppose it's not much of a party considering me, my phone, and my 2 subscribers, both of which are probably family. I actually haven't looked. Supposedly there's 3. Okay, that's turned on, and I'm just gonna wait. Okay, and now this is hot. So we are going to... The bags have seams on the edge, so it seems to be easier just to deal with it from the seam. You want to seal the top edge. Just run the curling iron over the top to seal it. You want to go about 2/3 of the way across, and then we'll push the air out. So let's go 2/3 of the way across with my horrible camera angle. Whatever, this is not rocket science, you can figure it out. And I'm not good at getting it straight, so we're going to have a weird top at the end. Anyways, we'll open on a row 2 absorbers. And I don't know how many cc's these are. The PakFresh people did the math. I double checked their math. That was months ago. I don't care. Take one of the oxygen absorbers, stick it in your bag. Then we want to push as much air out of the bag as we can. You can't quite see this, but yeah, we're getting as much of that air out as we can. I don't have any good place to put this phone that will show what's actually going on, so whatever. Push a bunch of that out and seal the rest of the way. Let's see if I can do this one-handed. There it is. Okay, so I'm not quite all the way done, but I'm close. So now I'm just going to push the rest of that air out. Hopefully it can close. Yep. This actually came out better than usual. Practice helps, but it's not like you can screw this up. You just don't want to hold things long enough till they really melt. It's just supposed to seal. Looks good. Push it down. You're not going to have all of the air out. It'll bubble a little. If it doesn't bubble a little, it probably means it's not sealed all the way and something's leaking, and you should go fix that. Okay, next one. Oops. Yeah, it's still on. Cool. And I have a bag of rice, almost. A couple little tricks I do that you may or may not care about, but they don't cost me anything, or almost nothing, so I'm going to show you. One extra thing I do is I'll take the bags, food came in a bag, and cut off the nutritional information. And I'll stick this on top of the bag, on top of the food. That way, when I go to eat it, I'll have some idea of what's in there, how many calories it is, kind of what serving size should be, so I can appropriately measure out how many calories we should be eating. So it's just like, I can do the specific math later, but I figure it doesn't hurt to just have the labels. So cut them off so I'm not storing the entire bag for 25 years. And I can use scissors. My kindergarten teacher would be proud. Three Ladies brand. Good stuff. Has pictures of three ladies on the cover. Whatever. Take our labels. And label the buckets. 30 pounds. Rice. Bucketed 2022 0425. Yeah, when I was at IBM, we always did date stamps and files that way. So if you sort them alphabetically, with the most significant part of the date first, that will sort alphabetically as a number, the way you'd want it to. And then we put a paper label over the one I wrote on the bucket. I don't know if this is actually necessary, but I figure in 25 years things will fade. Might as well have two labels, and kind of one label protects the other. Regular tape, which probably won't last 25 years either. Now, what I find to be the hardest part of this process is getting the stupid lids to latch onto the stupid buckets. Lid, bucket. I'm grabbing the wrong lid. Yeah, these things are just a pain to get on and seal. Thankfully, there's a tool for this. I hate this part. Okay, I get to hit stuff. It's not all bad. I suppose I'm beating on the one that's not on camera. Yeah, it's all down. Next bucket. First is always the hardest. Not sure if this is going to show up on camera at all. Great. Yes, it will. I just angled out. More angle. I hate this part, I hate this part, I hate this part. this, worth noting, you can basically stack these buckets too high. If you stack them more than that, though, you end up with all of the weight on the top bucket from the top bucket is sitting inside the lid on the bottom bucket. So if you stack it too high, you got more weight and the lids tend to collapse. So too high is good. Another trick you can do though for stacking buckets, if you're like me and like your ceilings are more than 2 buckets tall, you can take one of these handy little tools and some plywood and make a bunch of these. And now you can suddenly better distribute the weight to the outside edge of the lid instead of being on the middle center of the lid where it's going to collapse. Then you should be able to stack them 3 high. I'm not sure if it's worth the plywood. Depends on how much space you have. I don't have much space. I'll use the plywood. And there we go. We have 420 pounds of rice next to 240 pounds of beans. Yeah, there's some in the back. And yes, my garage is a mess because I'm in the process of moving. But that is basically a 10-month supply of food for one person. For 2 people, it comes down to about 5 months. That just happens to be the limit of what I could fit underneath the stairs at my house. But I'm moving, so it'll expand. And yes, I'm sweating because I just hauled that out to the garage. One other thing to keep in mind is beans and rice, or beans, rice, corn, wheat, the standard stuff. Most people do beans and rice. Corn requires nixtamalization with field corn. That's a whole nother problem. Corn and wheat both pretty much need a grinder to make them usable. You can only store field corn. You can't store sweet corn because sweet corn doesn't last as long, blah, blah, blah. Anyways, something to keep in mind is that does not have all the vitamins you need. You need to that will be calorie sufficient, but not all of the vitamins, micronutrients, things like that. If you're just eating beans and rice, within 2 months maybe, probably less, your teeth will all fall out. Yeah, all your teeth, gone, bye-bye. Your gums will recede, your teeth will basically fall out. So you need to add some sort of vitamins to that. The easiest way to do this is to start your own garden. Just simply adding tomatoes will go an incredibly long ways. So now you don't have any excuses. So for my 3 subscribers who I think might watch this, okay, probably only 2 of you will actually watch this. Now you know how to store rice, and beans, same process. And start a garden.